This is a Minecraft village. With a source of food and a developing interior, the future of the village is looking bright. But it's not yet thriving. So, in this episode, we're going to develop the North Coast with residential and commercial buildings, and then we're going to develop a second source of food for the village so the villagers no longer have to subsist on a diet of only bread, mutton, and apples. So, let's get right into it. As the first step in developing the North Coast, I wanted to work on this block. I'm going to turn it into a park. See, the villagers gather here at the well every day. So, I want to make sure they permanently have a good place to gather by ensuring no development ever blocks the area around the well or its view to the nearby lake. So, this block is going to forever be a park. I started by digging up the road that went through the park. It's diagonal and bendy and not so good. Although I did leave this part here. I'm not sure right now whether I want to cut the park into 2 squares or get rid of that road altogether, but I'm leaving that little bit for now. Now, you are probably wondering what I'm going to do about this house right here, since this block is now a park. The answer is basically this house is getting grandfathered into keeping its plot. Even though I won't be developing the block any further, I don't want to tear down this guy's house just because we're making a park here. So he gets a nice view. Next, I squared off the roads to make the park a proper rectangle, which added a little extra area to the park. And I added this boardwalk along the water because the water kind of dipped into the park, so I thought might as well make it look nice. And this is actually inspired by the fact that village paths generate as planks, like boardwalks, if they generate along water. We even have one in the village already, so I thought I'd just run with it. Now that the park was done, I'm going to move on to proper development. And I decided that I'm going to focus on this block here. And I'm going to develop this entire block. The entire area is going to be built up. See, it's right near the center of the village, and as of right now, it's completely undeveloped, aside from this one tiny house that the villagers built. So it's going to be the focus of the first part of this video. Now, the first thing I wanted to build was a new workspace. See, in the last episode, me and KT built a new house, but we haven't put beds in it or anything, because I don't want to have the villagers breed before I have workspaces for the new villagers, or they won't have any jobs to do. So I decided to make a butcher shop. And this is good because I already have a source of meat, that being the sheep farm, and I plan on building another one soon, so a place to process that meat is vital. So as I build up the frame, I made a few key decisions. One, you can see I've made it quite big. I'm going to put at least 2 worksite blocks in here, possibly more in the future. And second, as you can see, I've made the door dip in. See, all the blocks that are designed by the villagers are quite small. And that's not a bad thing, it's just something I have to keep in mind. And at the same time, I want to keep at least some grass around every time I develop new buildings. But because of the fact that this building is 1 block off the ground, I would have to put staircases directly on the path or make the building 2 blocks away from the path. And putting staircases directly on the paths makes the paths feel cramped and cluttered. So I did this design where the building sits only 1 block off the road, but the staircase is sunk into the building as to make sure there's still space between it and the road. So then I built some big windows. See, because this is a big building, I want to make sure it doesn't feel like a warehouse on the inside. That's no good for, the butchers. And letting some natural light in and a big view to the outside, I think, is the best way to do that. Now that the main part of the building was done, I wanted to build the roof out of cobblestone. But I didn't have nearly enough, so I went to get some in the mine. And okay, by the way, I know I'm like the last Japanese soldier stranded on an island fighting World War II in like 1986, but the diorite and granite they added does sometimes get in the way when collecting a ton of stone. So anyway, I started building the roof. A simple triangle like last time, but I did fall off a lot. I decided to do a little window above the front door. I think it looks neat. And doubling down on the windows, instead of boarding up the roof area, I decided to do a second set of windows and then added glass. And finally, it was time to work on the interior. 2 smokers, of course, as they're the job site block. But also, I did 2 long counters made out of smooth stone, which are a place where the butchers can clean the animals, chop the meat, and also a reference to the really old original butcher shops from the pre-1.14 villages, where they had that little stone slab counter area. It's a feature I always loved in those old village buildings, so I decided to throw it in. Then I put the glass on this huge back window, and I love the look of this. It has such a great view. Now, I was going to be done there, But then I saw the chimney on the armory across the street, and I really liked it. So I decided I should put some chimneys on the butcher shop as well for the smokers. I really like this dual chimney design I decided to go with. Now, I did decide to chop down this tree as it was kind of blocking the window's view. Don't worry, I'll plant another one later, you'll see. But I realized this view was so good, I needed to take advantage of this great spot. So I decided to put some chairs and a table in the butcher shop, which I think looks really nice. And it's a good place for the butchers to take a break, and maybe even for people to come into the shop to eat some fresh meat directly at the butcher shop. See, in real life, by the way, I've seen a few butcher shops with indoor seating, just some tables and chairs, and I think it's a pretty good idea. So, there we go, the first building on that block, and now I want to move on to the next one. Now, I want to build another house, this time not one so big and more strictly in the village style than last time. Because on my last video, I got this great comment from that random guy Zero, who says I should make sure to keep in the village style, and I think that's a great idea. And further, I think it would be really cool if I develop this area in a strictly village-based style, and then maybe when I build new developments in the area, like on the island, on the landmass, I build them in a slightly different style. So the other two structures I made in the core of the village, I do think fit quite well into the village style. They're still made with mostly the same block palette. And this new house I'm building is even more of a village-styled structure. It's mostly based on this weaponsmith right here design-wise, but of course with some differences. See, in my last two builds, I thought that a roof made out of the same materials as the walls would look bad, but with the contrast provided by the logs and glass, I think a plank roof looks good. Now, I wanted to try harder with the interior on this one, so I decided on a yellow theme. I did a cute bedside table, a dining table, I even hung up a couple paintings, and then I put down a yellow carpet to really sell the yellow theme. I love this Fighters painting, by the way, it's a classic. Now, before I do something with the final plot, I want to figure out what I'm going to do with this tiny corner here. And I went with expanding the personal garden of this house here, and I think it looks nice. So, this block is nicely developed, and I think the cornerstone to this can be another small park in this final plot. And let me explain why. See, one problem I've noticed in real life sometimes is that because houses are close together, you get to a point where buildings have windows that basically just overlook other buildings. And in my village, I want to make sure that every house has at least one window facing a park or some sort of greenery. So take a look at what I've done here because I've had this in mind. Each house has sightlines to a park from at least one window. The new house, by the way, actually has sightlines to two. The butcher shop also not only has a big window overlooking a park, but a view of the lake, which I'll be sure not to obstruct. So getting to the actual park, I started with a fence. You may think this is just about the worst fence ever with all those gaps, but the point of the fence isn't really to keep anyone out of the park, just to generally indicate the area of the park and to decorate. Then I put a little path through the park, and I built a cute wishing well, because I always love a water feature. And finally, I replanted the tree I promised to earlier. Then some flowers, grew a little grass, and one of those cool new firefly bushes. Now, you'll probably notice I haven't named anything in the village, really. But I thought I might as well start now, so I named this park Map Park, because this is where the map of the village is, and I think it's a cool name. Okay, and there we go. Look at the complete finished block. Totally developed, and I think it comes together really well. And this is kind of the first major block-wide development we've done. I know I've been saying every single milestone we did last episode. I know I pointed out milestones a lot of times last episode, but I think this is another one. Now, you probably noticed that KT8506 has been absent as of yet, but she's back, so we got to work on the next project. See, with the butcher shop developed, we need a second source of meat. Mutton is good, but the future butchers probably want more variety than that, and I'm sure the villagers want a more varied diet. See, here's the potential dinner plate for a villager right now. Bread from the wheat farm and mutton from the sheep farm. Carrots are technically possible, but they're only sourced from this tiny farm in the village, so they're probably pretty hard for villagers to come across since there aren't many to go around. So we wanted to give our villagers a better quality of life, so we decided to make good on an idea that we thought of last video, developing this pig island over here into a pig farm for pork. But, of course, we couldn't do that without having a supply of food with which to feed the pigs, so we needed to develop a carrot farm first. So, back in the farm area, we extended the path around the mountain. We decided to curve it right up against the mountain to maximize the amount of valley we can end up farming. Then, we dug trenches, filled them with water, and we tilled up all this soil for the carrot farm. It's almost exactly the same size as the wheat farm, and both of them we might expand in the future if we need more of either crop. Now, with that done, we can get on pig farming. We need to connect a path from the main village all the way to where the pig farm is going to be. The island's a little far out, but not too far. Now, one thing I think is going to be pretty cool about this island farm is that there's going to be no fences. See, the water around the island makes a natural barrier, and I did test it in another world. Pigs on an island of this size will not swim away. I actually got the idea for this from Jurassic World Evolution 3. That's not even a game I've played. I've only played Jurassic World Evolution 2. But I saw in that game you can use water and other natural barriers for your zoo enclosures. And I thought that would be a really cool thing to have in this world, so I thought I'd take advantage of this island opportunity. Anyway, KT8506 kind of took the wheel here because I'm really bad at bridges, so I took a back seat and did a little terraforming. We went for a cool stony design using a lot of andesite, and that's pretty easy to get because we found this gargantuan andesite deposit. I don't know if this is super above average or not, but it seemed it. Maybe 2 that generated at the same spot. And the great thing about using water as a natural barrier is that now that we're done the bridge, the farm is done. I just put a few fence gates on the bridge, and now we're going to have a massive pig population here. All we have to do is breed them up with the carrots. So, with the 2 new farms, a potential village dinner plate now looks like this. You can have bread, carrots, pork, mutton. It's still limited, but a lot more varied than what they had access to before, and it's only going up from here. Now, I figure it's a good time to address the golems. For some reason in the town, golems are spawning, climbing up this hill, and, repeat. I'm not mad about it. It means the village is extra safe, and they seem to be enjoying Jerry Park. But it's really funny, and there are so many, and I don't know if this is just going to keep continuing forever, but it seems like it. But there we go. The village is once again improved. And I really think things are going great here. More food, more housing, more jobs. It's really shaping up to look nice. And hey, now that we're wrapping up, I just want to say a few things. One, if you have an idea for the name of a village, for the name of the village, leave it in the comments. I'm not sure how or whether or when I want to name the village yet, but I'd love to hear some ideas. And 2, I've made a playlist now because I've got episode 1 and episode 2. So if you haven't caught episode 1, you can go see it right now. Just find the playlist in the description. And okay, thanks for watching. I'm going to try and get the next one out a lot faster. I've had a lot of fun with this series, so I've been spending a lot more time on it. It's super easy to spend a bunch of time on editing and stuff. So I'll have the 3rd one out sooner, hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one.